Hello everyone, welcome to the weekly Purple Penny coin video. It's Easter Monday, so we're just having things a little bit earlier today because I double booked for lunch. You can probably see that Catherine has joined in with us today, and wandering around in the background there you might see a tail every now and again because Pesto is here as well. As you would probably know, my name's Mark and this is Catherine. We run the Purple Penny. We're a coin shop in the northern suburbs of Adelaide. We've been doing these videos for about 3 years, and the Purple Penny shop in Mawson Lakes is having its 4th birthday in a few weeks' time. So thank you everyone for joining us today on the public holiday. Last week was of course a Royal Australian Mint product release week, and Catherine thought she'd come in today and just share with you what happened last week. So Catherine, if you just want to run us through what happened last week.
Okay, we were well prepared. We didn't get enough allocated stock, which isn't usual. It is usual these days. We were well prepared. Lots of people on our interest list. Interest closed a week prior to release. We had time with the stock to get everything organised for people. We had the phone rang and rang and rang and rang. People looking for both the silver coins and the aluminium bronze coins, very popular. A very, very nice coin with the Iroquois helicopter in the middle with the metal colours around, a very lovely colour. I think even as well was better on the aluminium bronze planchet than on the silver planchet, but then that silver one was low mintage. So release day morning, we decided the interest seemed like it was going to go down the red poppy path, which it did end up doing to some degree. So we did tickets again. There were people lined up outside the shop from 6:30 in the morning. People were very cheery and happy. Mark went out, wandered up and down the queue, gave people tickets so they could head off and use the restroom and grab a coffee or some breakfast and not have to actually sit there or wait the whole time, which we feel is the best for people. So the doors opened. We had Jared as well. He was very happy about being at work on release day because he'd missed the red poppy. So the only thing I don't like about release day is when people coming in and just buying the new coin and then leaving. I feel there's a lot to look at in the shop, which was missed by a lot of people who just came in, bought the new coin and left. We had a limit of 1 per ticket per person. We had the bridal shop next door joining the party. We had the dance shop next door joining the party. We had the guy across the road who saw the queue out the window in the morning and went, I'll just go join that. So that makes you chuckle a little bit. We'd sold out within the hour. I think we didn't end up giving out all the tickets. There was people who just walked in after that hour and or during the end of that hour and were able to grab their one, and they were happy because in the end we want everyone to get one for their collection. We don't want people coming in and saying, okay, I'll have all of them, because you can see, and Mark will talk about prices on the secondary market, and we just want to keep everyone having their one. Maybe they want 2 or 3, but most people are happy with one. We just want to see the smile on those people's faces, and I've been very busy packaging and mailing and things yesterday in the shop here. So back to you.
I guess if I had one observation about the release, I wouldn't give much thanks to the Mint for popping up a message on their website at lunchtime when they'd sold out of the silver proof, telling people to contact their distributors. Now, it's great that they've referred people onto their distributors, but the wholesale allocation of those silver coins was just a very small percentage of the total mintage. And if it took till lunchtime for the mint to sell out of the silver coins, I can tell you we were sold out, within seconds of opening. So, perhaps the mint should think about passing out a few more coins through the wholesale network so that we can keep few more people happy, rather than referring people to us when the horse is well and truly bolted. The phone rang a lot, and it is quite dispiriting for us to just have to say no to people, and I think the mint would do us a lot more favours by giving us a bit more stock. And it's not the money that bothers us, because we really don't make much out of it. It's more just being able to give people what they want. It was disappointing to have to say no all the time. We had several hundred phone calls on Thursday, and in the end, to just have to answer no all the time was not much fun for us. So, other than that, the actual release day, as Catherine said, was very smooth here. I think,
it went smooth for us. Yes,
yeah.
I don't know whether other authorised distributors had any problems, or I think actually I did notice Downey's site was down for a period. Whether or not people had trouble with that mint queue, I haven't been looking at Facebook over the weekend. I know there were some refunds given by another authorised distributor who oversold the silver coin, which is unfortunate to those people who thought they had secured that one and didn't.
Yeah. I will just say, because you're taking part today, if you comment before the end of the video today, which is probably going to finish up at 10:30 or so, everyone who comments in the video is going to have an opportunity to purchase one of the Vietnam aluminium bronze coins. We've got a small number that we kept aside for our video viewers.
There's a comment there saying, yeah. Okay.
So people that are having problem with the feed, there's nothing we can do about it from this end. The problem is at your end, and sometimes it might be best to reload the page or stop and start the feed. There's nothing we can do about it from here. So yeah, if you do comment on the video today, you'll be in the chance to purchase one of these Vietnam aluminium bronze cement mark coins at release price, and Catherine will mail it out to you if you need postage. Otherwise, you can come in here into the shop to pick it up. And that's just a thank you for the people who have taken part in these videos in the last few years, and just to give people a chance to get one. So thanks for that. Have you got anything else to say about the release, Kath?
No.
No? All right. Well, we're going to say goodbye to Catherine, and we're going to, unless, do you want to stay?
I got mailing to do.
Got mailing to do? All right. We're going to say goodbye to Catherine, and we'll continue on with the rest of the news that's been going on in the last week and jump on to our topic of the day. So thanks, Kath.
All right. Bye,
Okay.
guys.
Bye now. Right, we'll just say a few hellos here to people, because we've been commenting for a while and we haven't said hello to anyone. As I said, if you're having problems with the feed, please try reloading Facebook or something. There's nothing we can do about it from our end, unfortunately. Hi Peter, Sandy, Brandon, Daryl, Monica, Michelle, Christine. Looks like Facebook's dropped off the some of the comments here. Pal, Adam. No, Peter, I haven't bought Catherine her mint jeweled snake coin yet. And thank you, Peter, for suggesting we have a sausage sizzle on product release day, because we don't have enough to do. But it is a good idea. It is a good idea. Who else has said something here? Hello, Andrew. Yeah, thanks, Andrew, for coming in and buying the baby coin sets on release day. It's much appreciated. Hello, Christine. Hello, Brandon, Paul, Bevan. Hi, Bevan. It's good to see you joining in today. Good win by the Crows on Saturday. Great win. Hello, Richie. Hello, Ash. And hello, Ray and Brandon there. Thank you for joining in today. Right, let's just jump into the news here. So I did have a quick look at prices on the secondary market for the Vietnam coins. As I suggested over the last few weeks, the silver one has gone off like a frog in a sock. They're selling anywhere between $390 to $500 on the great garage sale in the sky. They are auction prices as well, so they're consistently getting from $390 to $500 at auction with many bids. As I said, the distribution to the wholesale network was very small. We had what can only be described a pathetic number to be able to give to our loyal customers here that support us all year. So if you are looking for one at the moment, then that's the price that you're going to have to pay. The aluminium bronze coins haven't gone off like the poppy coins, and that's probably no great surprise. The mintage is a bit higher, and it doesn't have a poppy on it, but they're still going consistently for between $65 and $100 a card. Now, I'm quite confident that those prices will drop back somewhat, especially the silver coin. Be prepared, I imagine, for other silver coins to be released by the Mint. The Mint has obviously done this as a test to see how it was going to go, and it's done fairly well, and no doubt they will pop out some more as other Mint mark coins are released, and if they continue to sell out, no doubt those mintages will increase. So if you've missed out on a Vietnam aluminium bronze coin, as I've said a few times already, please comment live during the video today and you'll be in the chance to buy one at release price plus postage. If you need it mailed out to you, we have kept a small number aside for video viewers. Thank you for Catherine for coming in and taking care of the wrap up from last week. Now, if you follow gold and silver, you probably would have noticed that the gold and silver prices have surged in the last few weeks. Hang on a second, my window system here has moved. Yeah, what's going on? Apologies here, just the windows and the software have moved, so I can't find what I'm looking for. Right, so there's some Kitco charts. Kitco is an online gold and silver retailer, and they make charts available to anyone who's interested in gold and silver price. And I guess the first thing to realise about gold and silver prices is that we get lots of people in here that come in and say, oh, gold's $2,000 an ounce and silver's $24 an ounce and things like that. And that's simply because the news here in Australia is so dumb that all they ever do is report on it in US dollar terms. And all they're doing is regurgitating press releases that they get off of their internal messaging systems. All those press releases are, of course, in US dollar terms, and the journalists just regurgitate what they see online. And really, for here in Australia, all that matters to us is the price in US dollar terms. So if you go and have a look at the price in Australian dollar terms, if you go and have a look at the news, they talk about gold approaching all-time highs and all this sort of garbage. In Australian dollar terms, it has got to all-time highs in the last few weeks. So last week it hit about $3,030 an ounce, and it's only sort of the second or third time it's ever gone over $3,000 an ounce. Silver has trailed along behind it, and it has gone from about $32 an ounce to $37 an ounce in the last week and a half. So if you are interested in gold and silver, it is important that you follow the prices in Australian dollar terms. Here in the shop, what does it mean to us? It means that we get a lot of people coming in, selling and buying gold and silver. We have a lot of gold that has been coming in, gold coins, scrap gold, that sort of stuff. And then we also have a lot of silver bullion going out of the shop. A lot of 1 ounce coins we sold last week because people are interested in stacking silver, obviously. What else has been going on in the news? The Bank of England has finally started production of sorry, I'm just struggling a bit to get my things to change here. No, everything is broken. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show the slides, I don't think. No, everything's broken. what a bother. The Bank of England has started producing the new portrait banknotes for the UK, and the first one that they've started is the hang on a second, what's going on here? There we go. The first one that they've done is the £10 note. Now, interestingly, the portrait of Charles on those notes was actually supplied to the Bank of England in 2013. So that's how quickly they have, that's how long they've been onto this in anticipation of the succession of Charles. You know, that's 10 years ago that they got this particular portrait, and they're using now. The Bank of England is going to be printing these notes for at least a year before they're released into circulation, and that seems like an awfully long time. But the reason for that is that there is a lot of machinery out there that recognises notes automatically, and the Bank of England is giving people time to update that machinery, do the software updates and the hardware updates and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, this isn't a short process. The same sort of process is going to happen in here in Australia. The banknote designs will be finalised fairly quickly, but it will be a long time between the banknote designs being finalised and them actually entering circulation, simply to allow people to update their machinery and things like that. Right, now being Easter, those of you who would know that that this weekend is Easter, sorry, I'm still struggling here, would know that it's Easter this week, and that means that last Thursday in a cathedral in York, King Charles held what is called Maundy Thursday ceremony, and it was the first attendance that King Charles made to Maundy Thursday, and you would probably know that he hands out Maundy money on Maundy Thursday. So there you can see pictures of the Maundy money. Now, on the right hand side you can see the Maundy money. It's a 1 pence, 2 pence, 3 pence and 4 pence. These are little sterling silver coins. How small are they? I'll show you in a little bit. On the left there you can see a £5 coin and a 50p coin. Now what King Charles did is that he handed out 148 sets of Maundy money to 148 pensioners at the church. Now, how do you arrive at the 148? It's because King Charles is 74 and he handed out 74 sets of coins to 74 male pensioners and 74 sets of coins to 74 female pensioners. Now, how much money did each person get? They got 74 pence of Maundy money, so 74 pence of these 4 pence, 3 pence, 2 pence and 1 pence sets. Again, that's related to the King's age. They also got £5 and 50p of money in a white pouch. The Maundy money is in a red pouch. The £5 and 50p is what is known as the cloth and food money. Now, there's a long tradition of why those particular amounts were given in the Maundy money and the cloth and food money, and I thought today would be a good time to just look back at the traditions of how these things have come about. So I think I'm over my technical problems at the moment. Right, so what is Maundy? Maundy is actually the name of the Christian rite of foot washing, and it probably comes from a Latin word called mandatum, which is Latin for instructions. Those of you who are Bible scholars, and I'm certainly not, would probably know that one of the instructions that Jesus gave in the Bible was to wash people's feet. So that was a mandate that he gave, and the Latin word for that, mandatum, Maundy, is derived from that. And there are records going back to the 5th or 6th century AD showing that the Christian church did have formalised ceremonies of washing people's feet. Now, how do we get from that to Maundy money? Well, in the 12th century, King John, and those of you who know your Robin Hood legends would know that King John was King Richard the Lionheart's brother. King John, who was also responsible for the Magna Carta, actually distributed alms at Maundy Thursday ceremony. So alms are charity items. So he distributed food, clothing, forks and spoons and other things to the poor on Maundy Thursday in 1210. And then we've actually got records of King John giving away 13 silver pennies to 13 poor men at the Maundy Thursday ceremony. So this idea of the British monarch handing out money on Maundy Thursday dates back over 800 years. There is a lot of tradition behind how we arrived at where we are today, so I thought I'd just have a look at a bit more of that. In 1363, we see the first instance of the monarch actually handing out a number of coins equivalent to his age. Edward III distributed 50 silver pennies to 50 men in 1363, and he happened to be 50 years old at that point. So that's where we think that year the age thing came from and the number of people that received it. In 1556, Queen Mary distributed coins, clothing and food. Now, her sister, Queen Elizabeth, didn't like the struggle to get the hands on the clothing, because often the women who were receiving the clothing would also try to snip a piece off of the Queen's royal wedding gown. So Queen Elizabeth was the first person, and this is Queen Elizabeth I, not the one who just passed away, was the first person to replace one of the offerings with money. So she actually gave recipients a £1, which back then was a bucket load of money, instead of clothing, to stop what she thought was an unseemly struggle to get their hands on a piece of the monarch's gown. Up until the middle of the 1660s, the money that was handed out at Maundy Thursday was just standard English money. There wasn't any special coins made. And that changed in, let me just think here, in 1662, when Charles II, and of course our king now is Charles III, so his predecessor by name, he actually minted money specially for the Maundy Thursday ceremony. And those coins that he minted first were actually undated. Now, the first dated set was minted in 1670. Generally, the amount of money that's given out is tracked by the monarch's age, but that did change from year to year. It was really at the monarch's choice. Formerly, the gift of clothing was finally removed in 1724. It did happen on and off up until that date. And then the gift of food actually stopped in 1837, when William IV found out that people were selling the food out the front of the cathedral where they'd received their gift of food, and they were selling it for less than what it was worth. So he made the decision then to replace the gift of food with money as well. Now, if you're just wondering what the Maundy Money looks like, to show you how small it is, I actually have a PCGS graded set of Maundy Money here to show you. And this is actually the undated set that Charles II first produced. So that is a Maundy fourpence. Now, if you're wondering how big that is, there's a $2 coin. So this is pretty much exactly the same size as a $2 coin. And they range in size from the fourpence down to the 1 penny. There's a threepence there. And I'll just show you the 1 penny to give you an idea of how small that is. So this is a undated Maundy 1 penny issued by Charles II. And you can see there it is considerably smaller than a $2 coin. So these are tiny little things. Could they be spent? Absolutely. They were still money. They could still be spent by people who receive them. And I hear stories of modern Maundy ceremonies where resellers actually line the footpaths out the front of the cathedral where the ceremony happens and harangue the recipients of the Maundy Money to try and buy it off of them. Now, how many sets do they produce? These days, they produce the number of sets is related to the number of recipients and how much money each person receives. In the case of Charles III, who just had the Maundy Money ceremony last Thursday, he issued 74 pence to 148 recipients. So if you do your maths in the head, that works out to be about 1,050 sets of Maundy money that were received. Generally these days, that is the only way that you can get the Maundy money. In the past, it has been released through the Royal Mint. You could buy sets through the Royal Mint on that particular year, and that happened from about 1890 through to about 1910 or 1912. Every now and again they would release a set with other sets. For example, in the 1902 matte proof coronation set and the 1937 coronation set, they did release Maundy coins in those. So some years the mintages are in the low tens of thousands. Most years they are under 5,000. Modern sets, and by modern sets I mean sets issued by Elizabeth and things like that, you are generally looking at mintages of less than 2,000 per set. You can see there on that slide that they are generally struck in sterling silver. However, when the British debased their coinage, debasement means they reduced the silver percentage of the coinage. They debased their coinage in 1920. They followed suit with the Maundy coins and reduced them to 50% silver, but in 1946 they started doing them in sterling silver again. The sizes are there, you can see them on the slide there. That 1 penny that I showed you is just half a gram. So these are tiny, tiny little coins. Of course, these days they are not spent, they are just for collectors. What do the sets look like that the people get? I think we had that up on the first slide. There they are there on the right hand side. They actually come in little plastic packets, 4 coins per packet, and of course this year with 74 pence, that's actually 7 sets and 4 pence, so each person would have got 7 full sets and then maybe a 4 penny. I'm not really sure how they make up the spare change. So that's Maundy money. It is something that I sort of collect half-heartedly. I have quite a few sets when I can pick them up at the right price. How much do you pay for a Maundy set? Anywhere from, you know, perhaps $150 or $200 for a common set such as 1902 or 1937, up to several $100 or $1,000 or more for early sets in good condition. So Maundy sets, very closely related to Easter. It's a English tradition that goes back to at least 1200 AD when the first monarch handed out money. But the actual specific Maundy money itself wasn't created until about 1660 by Charles II. Right, I think that'll do for today. Thank you everyone who has taken part today. Everyone who has commented before I shut this video off will be in a chance to purchase one of the aluminium bronze Vietnam dollars, $2 at release price plus postage. I'll just have a quick scan through the comments and see if there's any questions here that I can answer. The way gold and silver prices are going up, it's almost worth buying bullion coins from the mints. Yeah, well that's right, Peter. It almost is, but the sales price of bullion coins from the mint is actually related to the actual silver price, so they always seem to get their pound of flesh whatever way they do. There's no fixed price for them. They would probably be worried about the release price of sort of collector 1 ounce coins and things like that, things that last year were selling for $55. Now with silver at $37 or $38 Australian, that margin is a bit thin for them, I would have thought. Mike says, I've asked the ABC a couple of times about why they report in US dollars. No answer. Mike, it's because they don't want to think about it. They just want to regurgitate what they get off of the AAP or the Reuters or things like that. The idea of converting it to Australian dollars is just too complicated for them, no doubt. Welcome, Bo. Thank you for commenting and thank you for viewing for the first time. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Brett. G'day, Greg. Brandon, will King Charles III have his crown on for Australian currency? Don't know. Don't know. He doesn't have his crown on. Now, please correct me here because I think he doesn't have his crown on for the British circulation coins. The chances are we'll use the same portrait as shown on British circulation coins, so the chances are he won't have a crown on. Now, do correct me if I'm wrong there. I'm just thinking about the 50p coins that we've got for sale out in our front counter here. Hello, Robbie. Will any Australian notes have King Charles effigy on them? So, Eric, thank you for that question. It's looking like that's not going to be the case. The current recommendation from the government to the Reserve Bank is to find someone else's face to put on the $5 note, the $5 note being the only note that has the Queen's face on it. Now, that doesn't mean that's set in concrete. The Reserve Bank can make its own decision about what they actually put on the note, but it's looking at the moment like that's not going to be the case, and that we're probably going to have something related to Australia's Indigenous community on the $5 note, but that could be a few years away yet. The Reserve Bank has been printing many millions of $5 notes in the last few years, and there is no need to print any out quickly, so that will happen in a bit of time. Sandra says it would be a bit of a bugger if the king pops off before they release him. Well, yeah. Let's not think about that. I mean, Charles has had to wait a long time to become the king. I hope he gets several years out of it. And he is the same age as my dad, so I don't, I want them both to last as long as possible. Adam, thank you for your comment. Cam, welcome. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Monica. Hello, Byron. Thanks for taking part. Michael says it'd be lovely to have that Maundy set. Okay, so Michelle has just confirmed there that the Great Britain releases that she has so far have no crown. Yeah, that's what I thought. Right, that's it for everyone. Thank you for joining in on this special time. We'll be back to the normal time next week. As I said, we're only doing it today at this time because I double booked for lunch. Andrew says, will there be a coronation coin? Andrew, I don't know for certain, but I would bet my bottom dollar the Mint will do a coronation coin. I'd be absolutely surprised that if they didn't do that. The coronation, of course, is in just, 4 or 5 weeks. Will they have the coronation coin ready for May? The May releases are not announced yet. I doubt whether they'll be ready for May, maybe June or July, but even then that might be a bit fast. Right, everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Enjoy your last day off and happy collecting. Everyone stay well, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.